I have faced prisons. I have faced councils. I have faced the edge of a Roman sword. But nothing has ever stayed with me like the sound of that wind. You have heard the story. They tell it often. They say, Peter walked on water. They say, Peter sank. They do not tell you what it felt like. They do not tell you what happened inside me. That night, the sea was angry, the kind of hangry that makes fishermen quiet. And I was a fisherman. I knew that water. I had grown up on it. But that night, it felt unfamiliar, wild, uncontrolled. And he was not in the boat. That is what made the storm heavier. When he is near, even chaos feels limited. But when he feels distant, even small waves feel deadly. We were rowing, straining, arguing, blaming the wind, blaming each other. Then Andrew froze. He pointed. I thought exhaustion had broken his mind, until I saw it too. A shape, walking, not fighting the water, walking above it. My first thought was not faith, it was fear, ghost, death, judgment. But then, that voice, I knew that voice. It is I, and something inside me shifted. Hope wrestled fear. I do not know why I spoke. I have always spoken too quickly. Lord, if it is you, command me to come. I do not know what I expected. Maybe I thought he would say, stay where you are. Maybe I wanted to sound brave, but he said one word, come. Just that, come. No explanation, no promise of safety, just invitation. I wish I could tell you I stepped out boldly. I did not. My hands trembled on the edge of the boat. I could feel the eyes of the others on me. Thomas whispering, he has lost his mind. But something in me knew, if that voice calls you, staying is harder than stepping. So I stepped. My foot touched the surface, and the sea did not swallow me. I waited for the cold pull downward. It did not come. I shifted my weight, still held. I took another step, and another. Brethren, I was walking on the same water that had buried men I once knew. For a moment, I forgot fear. For a moment, I felt weightless, invincible, alive in a way I had never felt before. Then, the wind grew louder, or perhaps I finally noticed it. A wave rose beside me, spray hit my face, and I looked away. Not long, just a second, but 1 second is enough when your eyes leave him. The water softened, my footing gave way, and I felt it, the drop, the helplessness, the shame, because I knew something. The others were watching. I had been bold, now I was foolish. The sea climbed my legs. My confidence drained faster than the water rose. I did not form theology. I did not quote Psalms. I screamed, Lord, save me! And before the last word left my mouth, his hand, strong, certain, immediate. He did not wait for me to sink fully. He did not ask why first. He grabbed me, pulled me upward, held me steady. O you of little faith. Little faith. He did not say no faith, just little. And I have thought about that for years. Little faith still walks. Little faith still steps out. Little faith still cries out. Little faith is still enough for him to reach. We climbed back into the boat together. The wind stopped, just like that. Silence replaced chaos. But inside me, there was another storm. The others stared, some amazed, some confused, some trying not to smile. I was soaked, ashamed, but also changed. Because I had felt something they had not. I had felt the sea hold me, and I had felt his hand catch me. That night, I did not sleep. I kept replaying it. I was walking. I was walking. Yes, I sank, but I also walked. Years later, when they denied him in a courtyard and heard the rooster crow, I felt that sinking again. But I remembered something. Even when I sink, he reaches. When they threw me into prison, chains cutting my wrists, I remembered the grip of his hand. When they threatened my life, I remembered standing on water. Do you understand? The storm was not about water. It was about who I was becoming. A fisherman trusts boats. A disciple learns to trust the voice. If I had stayed in that boat, I would have been dry, safe, unembarrassed, but I would never have known what it feels like to stand on impossibility, nor what it feels like to be caught mid-failure by the Son of God. You ask me now, after all these years, was it worth it? Yes. I would rather sink moving towards him than remain dry, moving nowhere. Because that night, the sea did not define me. The sinking did not define me. His hand did. And I tell you this now, if he calls you, step. Even if your faith is small, even if your hands shake, even if others stay seated. Because sometimes the only way to become a rock is to sink first.
You know me as the one who stepped out of the boat. You remember the water, the wind, the hand that caught me. But there was another night, another fire, another kind of sinking. And this time, there was no storm, only silence. They had taken him, bound, struck, dragged like a criminal through streets that once echoed with his teaching. And I followed, not close enough to be counted with him, not far enough to pretend I did not care, just close enough to see and far enough to be safe. That is where fear begins, in the middle distance. They led him into the courtyard of the high priest. Torches flickered against stone walls, guards laughed, servants whispered. A fire burned in the center, and I stood near it, trying to warm hands that would not stop trembling. The firelight reveals more than darkness. It reveals faces. And that night, it revealed mine. A servant girl looked at me, too long, too carefully. You were with him. It was not accusation. It was observation, but it pierced like a sword. My mind raced. If I say yes, I am next. If I say yes, I could hang beside him. I remembered the boat, the water, the boldness. But boldness feels different when swords are involved. I do not know him. The words came quickly, too quickly, like they had been waiting. She frowned. Others leaned in. Yes, you are one of them. Again, the tightening in my chest, the calculation, the self-preservation. I am not. Louder this time, more certain. Fear grows stronger each time you feed it. An hour passed, an hour of hearing him beaten, an hour of pretending I did not belong to him. Then someone else, sure of it. Your accent gives you away. They were right. I sounded like him. I spoke like the men from Galilee. And in that moment, I felt trapped, cornered, exposed. So I did what cowards do when truth feels dangerous. I swore. I do not know the man. Not teacher, not rabbi, not Lord. The man. And then, the sound. The rooster, cutting through the night. Sharp, unforgiving. And suddenly, the prophecy. His words hours earlier. Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. I had said I would die for him. I had sworn loyalty. I had promised faithfulness. And I could not even confess him beside a fire. Then something happened that I have never forgotten. He turned. In the middle of accusation, in the middle of blows, he turned. And he looked at me. Not from across the sea this time, but across a courtyard. Our eyes met. There was no anger in his, no shock, no hatred, just knowing. And something worse than anger, sorrow. He knew I would fail, and he loved me anyway. I ran, out of the courtyard, out of the firelight, into the night, and I wept. Not polite tears, not silent regret. I broke, the kind of breaking that empties a man, the kind of weeping that feels like drowning without water. The sea had once taken me down by my feet, but this took me down from the inside. You think sinking in water is terrifying? Try sinking in shame. On the sea, I cried, "Lord, save me." In the courtyard, I could not speak at all, because this time he did not need to reach for my hand. He had already warned my heart. I thought that was the end of me. How can a man preach courage after denying courage? How can a man lead others after abandoning his leader? But listen carefully. The difference between the sea and the courtyard was not the depth of my failure. It was what I did next. After the sea, I climbed back into the boat. After the courtyard, I ran into darkness. And for 3 days, silence. He was crucified, buried, and I was left with memory. Memory of water, memory of a hand, memory of a look across firelight. I thought I had sunk beyond rescue, but the same voice that once said, "Come," spoke again through angels. Tell his disciples, and Peter, and Peter. He did not remove my name. He did not replace me. He called me, even after I denied him. And when I saw him again, alive, the shame that drowned me met the same eyes that once met mine in the courtyard, not accusing, restoring. Later, by another fire, he asked me 3 times, "Do you love me?" Not to shame me, but to rebuild me. 3 denials, 3 restorations. The sea taught me that faith can falter. The courtyard taught me that love can fail. But the resurrection taught me that failure is not final when mercy is alive. You remember me as bold, as a preacher, as a rock. But rocks are carved by pressure, by storms, by courtyards, by tears. If you have denied him, if fear has silenced you, if shame has drowned you, listen to an old fisherman. He still turns, he still looks, he still calls your name, even after the rooster crows.
After the courtyard, after the rooster, after the sinking and the shame, I went back to what I knew. The nets, the water, the boat. The morning was still, almost painfully so. I was not the same fisherman I had been. And the others, they'd returned too. Silent, broken, waiting. We cast our nets into the sea. Nothing. Hours passed, and yet the waves whispered a quiet promise. Then he appeared. Not in a crowd, not in thunder, but on the shore. And the fire burned, and bread, and fish. And he looked at me. And I froze, because I remembered. The storm, the sinking, the fire in the courtyard, the rooster's crow, the shame, all of it. And then he asked me 3 times, 3 simple questions. "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" I swallowed. I had denied him. I had failed him. I had sunk in every possible way. But he asked me 3 times, 1 for each denial, 1 for each moment I had doubted, 1 for each failure. And I said, trembling, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said, "Simple, feed my sheep." 3 times, 3 confirmations, not punishment, not shame, restoration, a call, a mission, a future.
I had been a fisherman. I would now be a shepherd. The fire, the courtyard, the sea, they had all been preparing me for this, for love, for courage, for the church. I realized then, for the first time in a long while, that failure is not the end. Even when your faith falters, even when your hands shake, even when shame is heavier than water, even when the world thinks you are broken, He restores, He calls, He commissions. And that day on the shore, I understood what the storms, the sinking, and the shame had been shaping me for. To stand, to speak, to love, to lead. The hand that had lifted me from the water, the eyes that had searched me in the courtyard, the voice that called me to follow again. It was the same hand, eyes and voice, and it was enough. Enough to forgive, enough to call, enough to make a fisherman into a rock. And I tell you now, if you have failed, if you have denied, if you have sunk, if you have been ashamed, He is waiting. He is calling. He is restoring. Not because you were perfect, not because you were strong, but because He is faithful. And in that morning light on the shore, I understood fully. The storms are never the end. The sinking is never final. The shame is never permanent. Because He restores, and He calls, and He sends. And that is the story I tell. After He restored me by the fire on the shore, I returned to the others. I was not the same man. The water could no longer scare me. The courtyard could no longer shame me. And yet, inside, I felt a trembling fire, a fire I did not yet understand. We stayed together, hiding, the doors locked, the world outside still hostile, and we were afraid. But the Spirit, it moved in ways I could not yet name. I remember the sound, not of wind, not of waves, but of rushing, powerful, undeniable wind inside the room. Tongues of fire touched each of us, and suddenly I knew we were not just restored, we were empowered. I had stepped out of the boat, I had fallen in the courtyard, I had been restored on the shore, but now I was sent. Fear no longer held me, shame no longer defined me. The fire in our hearts, that was courage. Courage to speak, courage to act, courage to bring faith to the world. With the Spirit's fire burning, I began to speak. Not carefully, not hiding. I spoke like a man who had walked on water, sunk in shame, and been lifted by Him. The crowd gathered. They had no idea what had shaped me, and yet they listened. Every word carried weight, every story carried hope, and I realized faith is contagious. Not because we are perfect, not because we never fall, but because we rise. Every time I preached, I felt the echo of the sea. Every boldness I felt, I remembered the rooster's crow. Every healing, every encouragement, every bold declaration, I was bringing to others what had been given to me. The Spirit moved like waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes crashing, and I learned something crucial. Faith grows when it is shared. Courage grows when it is modeled. Hope grows when it is lived. Time passed. The Sea of Galilee became a memory. The courtyard became a shadow. The shore became a sacred place of renewal. And I walked the earth. I preached. I taught. I healed. I was not perfect. I stumbled often. I sinned. I doubted. But the hand that held me in the storm held me still, and now it held the hands of countless others. The faith I had almost lost in fear, almost denied in shame, now spread like fire, to fishermen, to tax collectors, to strangers, to kings, to the lost. I saw hearts changed. I saw chains broken. I saw the impossible made real. And I realized the truth. Faith is not mine to keep. It is meant to be given. Every storm I survived, every sinking I endured, every shame I bore, it was preparation. Preparation to bring the faith to the world. The same faith that held me above water, that restored me after denial, that filled me with courage, now lives in those who dared to step out of their boats. And so I tell you, whoever listens to this story, do not fear the storm. Do not fear failure. Do not fear shame. Step, cry out when you sink. Allow the fire to burn in your heart and bring the faith to the world. Because the hand that holds you will never let go, and the world is waiting for your courage.
If you have felt the sinking, the shame, the fear, subscribe and like this video. Let's step out of the boat together and share this with someone who needs faith to rise.